Waiting for my little box to say that I'm live. Hey guys, good evening. Let's try that. Might have some sound now. How are you doing? Say hello in the chat. It'd be great to know that you're here. Waiting for the first of our Meet the Mentors to come on Zoom. While we wait for them to come on Zoom, I will be talking a little bit about what's new. So here's the chat, here's me, here's our new section of the website, which we have, which is for proteges. We're trying to decide what we're going to call mentees, people who are the 7 and growing band of people who are wanting live help with us here at GameDev.tv. And proteges, I think, is quite a nice word. So we're playing with the idea of proteges. You've got a brand new section on the community site. So this is your new sub-forum, and it is here. And those of you, the 2 or 3 of you I've already added to the group. The rest of you who are already Meet the Mentors, or proteges, or mentees, or whatever you want to call you guys, tier 3 subscribers over on Twitch, you're going to need to come and give me a message on the forum and say, hey, this is whoever, and that you, and I know what your username is. Anyway, better check that we're live, that we're all good, that it's working. I'll just do a public test of that while we wait for the first word to come through on the chat. The word for the day is going to be, I don't know, let's say cloud. If we type the word cloud in the chat, that will let me know that we are working and we are good. And who's here? Do we have Meet the Mentees? Do we have proteges here? Who do we have? What's the deal? And Musu, okay, that's interesting. Top chat. Maybe I need to be on all chat. I think I've got the chat for the wrong event. So let's just get the chat for the right event, and then we'll be on the way. Pure Thrills, welcome. Musu, welcome. Bacon, welcome. Perceptual, hello, Perceptual, good to see you. Awesome. I will post this link in the right chat. I think I was on the wrong one. So this is the new sub-forum, remembering to add an S on the end, like so. And those of you who are a tier 3 subscriber, what I want to happen is I want you guys to come and join me on Zoom right away. Here is the Zoom link for paid up tier 3 subscribers or proteges. I'm going to call you guys proteges. I will talk live about whether that's a crazy word or a great word. There you go. So that's your link. I'm interacting as GameDev.tv because that's the only YouTube profile that is allowed to post links. So Cloud, you can hear me, that's good. You can see me, that's good. Here's the forum area. Who's going to be the first one to join me on Zoom? Meanwhile, I'm going to give you an update. I have been super busy with progressive web apps. So a lot of you have been saying, how do I build my game for mobile? And every time you ask, or how do you actually ship your game to the App Store? Every time you ask, it fills me with dread because the amount of complexity in trying to get... So firstly, let's back up a bit. I think that our audience, our beginner audience, is best served by making their first bit of money in games through hyper-casual gaming. Really simple, hyper-casual games that people dive into and dive out of, but doing that hyper-casual game really well. Doing it, you know, nice sound, nice animation, nice polish to it, good naming, good marketing. The whole 9 yards around something very, very simple. And I was looking into how do we distribute those type of hyper-casual games, but without having to go from a Unity build to then understanding Android Studio and then messing around with Xcode and having a Mac in order to deploy to iOS and then waiting for the app stores to approve your stuff if they approve it and then getting noticed in the App Store. So what I'm thinking is the way for you guys to get your first hyper-casual games out is to write web games. Now you can... Soon you'll be able to use Unity to do that. You kind of can now, but it's still the WebGL build is not fully supported. But soon it will be fully supported and it'll stop warning you. You could use Unity, you could use Godot, or you could write a game in JavaScript and make it just a web app, a progressive web app. So who of you know about progressive web apps? And the cool thing about these things, if I find Google's link, there you go. Google are really driving this forward, is the idea on my phone. Let's use the technology. I'll show you this while we wait. So what I'm doing is I'm waiting on Zoom for tier 3 subscribers to turn up. Further up in the chat for you tier 3 subscribers is the link to this Zoom session that I'm in. Please come and join me if you are a tier 3 subscriber. It's a slightly weird time of day. The oblivion. I like the interactivity of this, of live. I love the interactivity. I hate the reliability. It does seem to be working. On Zoom for tier 3 subscribers. Yeah, I think it's working. Maybe we had a very brief interruption, but I think we're working. All right. So I was going to show you the screen while I wait for the tier 3 mentees to arrive. So let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So if I share an iPhone or iPad via this, If you go to certain websites like mobile, let me just get this working. Give me a second. Need to plug back in. Dunk. Tell me when you guys can see my mobile screen. It's a rhetorical question because when I can see my mobile screen, I know that you can see my mobile screen. But I will still ask you to tell me when you can see it. And I know you can't see it yet because I can't see it. iPhone, iPad via cable. Yeah, let's do it. Plug it in. You've messaged me via Twitch, Musu. That's great, Musu. Don't worry, Twitch will work as well. I will go back there and I will respond over there as well. So here is my screen. Now, if you go to mobile.twitter.com, then you can, on an Android, it will pop, and app.ft.com. And various others. These things will pop up on Android and say, do you want to add this to your home screen? Look, this thing I'm using here is actually a website. It's pretty amazing. It feels like a native app. Look at this. And as a way of rapidly deploying your game, this is, as far as I'm concerned, the way to go. You can even select media, take photos, best use for the Wolfram's a new kind of science there. So this app feels like native, and yet it's just a website. Now you can't have push notifications yet over on iOS, but you can on Android. This is FT's example. They work offline, these apps. So check out Progressive Web Apps. Yeah, I did give you a link in the chat. Pretty cool, and I think this is a great way for you to get your hyper-casual games out there without needing to mess around with understanding Xcode, Android Studio, etc. So buffering, yeah, I'm seeing a little bit of buffering, not too much. I could drop the res down, but it depends whether we're going to be screen sharing. So Musa, are you wanting to join in today? I know that you're one of our tier 3 subscribers. You don't need anything but the link that's further up in the chat. So one of the great things about this YouTube chat is it's actually persistent. Where's this light coming from? Yeah, not enough light from there, I think is the answer. Ah, well, anyway, we'll survive. I'll go move my light while I wait. Musa, are you joining in today? That's my question. Tied up to the desk. Skibbity-bippity, skibbity-bippity-doo. Moving lights around. Moving lights around. There you go. See how I look now. Might look like less sunken eyes if there's light directly on. That's probably a little bit better, isn't it? It's quite kind of bright, but there you go. So guys, give me a minute to get organised. 5 a.m. Wow, that's very keen of you. So thank you for being here that early. That's not a problem. You come on when you're ready, Musu, and I look forward to it. So for those of you who don't know what a Meet the Mentor stream is about, it is about our students coming on live if they are tier 3 subscribers on Twitch or if they're patrons. Let me show you those two options. So if you go to twitch.tv/GameDev.tv, which is our partner channel that we are temporarily on pause while we trial the limits of YouTube. But there's, hey Greg, Musu, how you doing, buddy? Now, your sound, what always happens on Zoom, and they really ought to do some more user testing, is people wonder, how do I get my Zoom sound working? It's down the bottom left, near the mute microphone, you've got an up arrow. There you get to choose your sound source, and it always is the case that people get confused about this. So while you find your sound, I'll just tell people how they can become a tier 3 subscriber. You either come to Twitch and subscribe as a tier 3 subscriber on our channel, or you go to our Patreon, and this is brand new. I don't think anybody's a Patreon this way yet, but another alternative. Oh, there is. We have a brand new Patreon. That's awesome. That's new. That must have been happened today. So, and on Patreon, it's well, you can see $22 a month here, and that gives you, should be $24.99. There you go, $24.99. I'm not sure why the difference. That's a bit weird. I think somebody's just supporting us at $22 a month and deciding they don't need to be a patron. That's a tier 3 member. But anyway, if you're a tier 3 member or a protege or whatever word we're looking for it, then either way, you can come on these streams just like Greg is. Now, Greg, are you able to hear me? If you are, yes, you can say so. And can I hear you?
Hopefully.
Awesome. How you doing, Greg?
Not too bad, thank you.
Awesome. So you are, there's a new area on the forum for you guys I've made with posts about all the upcoming events. It's locked only to you guys, and you told me that you've sent me your username so I can add you to that group, right?
Yes, through Twitch.
Perfect. I will go and find that shortly in the next day or so, and you'll be on that group. So that's cool. Thank you. So what do you got for us today, Greg?
Right. So since sorry, I'm still just waking up.
No worries, it's pretty early. It's crazy early.
Last time.
Where are you? East Coast Australia?
Yes, East Coast. So
yeah,
yes.
Same as Rick. So Rick will just be probably Sunday morning as well. This is dedicated for you.
Yes, somewhat. So since the last session, I've been playing around with some of the suggestions that you made.
Nice.
And I have some further questions, so I'll just get my screen sharing organised.
No problem at all.
Now I'm just trying to see if there's a way of seeing the chat without having the stream on and getting feedback. So maybe I'll...
Yeah, I'm probably going to take the chat off my screen as well, because I think it's a bit annoying for people to have the chat on the screen. It helps me when I've only got a single monitor. I think I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and get a second monitor, because this is a bit, it's a bit low tech, really.
Yes, okay, let me share my screen, main screen. So I have a couple of more design type questions rather than specific code issues this week. So I've got a basic chat system which I've started implementing, and I've currently got a couple of scripts which are using an instance of the chat system to send messages to it. One
okay,
being
so this is your RPG. You're following along. You've done part 1 of the RPG, and you're following along with part. You're waiting for part 2 while Sam's prototyping it, right?
Yeah, although I'm trying to forge ahead as much myself.
Yeah, good job. And I'm sorry it's been so long coming with us. We're now fully resourced on it, so we are moving ahead.
Yes. So the yes, as I was saying, the chat system has 2 scripts that utilize it. Currently, the Quest Giver script, which is used to send messages, and also the dialog box script, which controls the Quest dialog box. Now, my question is more, with it something like a chat system, is that a good candidate for using delegates and event based, or is it okay to just have references to the chat system and call public methods that way?
So I always say that you can do anything, as I keep saying, with just the most basic programming structures, right? So
yes.
Really, the ACID tech, literally the most basics, just like loops and variables and stuff. And then all the new programming tools we add on, like delegates or like event systems, which are very similar to delegates in Unity, just change how the code looks. So really, I always say try it and see what reads. What reads more clearly. If it's less lines of code, and less lines of code that you can really easily parse, right? It's no good having lines of code that are super compact and super clever, that, I've only got 6 lines of code, but they're using really high-level programming tools that I'm not comfortable with. That's no good. So I would say base it on the number of lines of code and the clarity of how they read. That's what it ultimately comes down to.
Right.
Because you can do it any way you want, basically, and there's not really any right or wrong. But less code for equal kind of ease of reading, and obviously less code is easier to read, but if the lines aren't doing anything too clever, then that's always better in my books. Now, it's for yourself, it's your project. So if a complete beginner doesn't understand what a delegate is, then no good using delegates for them, because they can't read that. And so how new are you to things like delegates and events and that way of doing it?
My first exposure has been through the various courses. So I started with the original completely Unity developer before it was split into 2D and 3D, and I went through the whole of that. And then I went through the entirety of the RPG Part 1. So, okay. And then RPG Part 1, there was the camera raycaster made use of delegates.
And how comfortable do you feel with that code when you read it?
Yeah, I understand it enough to implement my own. And in fact, I actually have done some of them. So around the camera affordance, I've added in, things like on mouse over dead enemy. So when an enemy dies and you mouse over them, you get a loot cursor rather than an attack cursor.
Awesome. Good to see that, because that was part of my design. I was expecting to insert this section for people to start inserting that. I think I briefly mentioned it, didn't I?
I believe so. It's been a while since I've been through the RPG course. So I'm comfortable doing it. It's just whether or not for something like a chat system, it's where you would use, delegates and event-based.
Yeah, and it's on a case-by-case basis based on the game, right? So the other things we need to consider in the wider context are things like, do you want your chat to be able to, the state and saving. So Sam is actually doing a lot of work on prototyping saving right now. And I should say that you can see, the other way if you're trying to forge ahead, let me just minimize for a second. You can on GitHub, you probably know where to find this, but let me just get myself a browser open. You can see what Sam's doing on his prototype branch. So you can start to look at behind the scenes of what he's doing much earlier than waiting for him to come out. So if we go to part 2 and then we go to 11 branches, let's just see where Sam is working. Sam's working on this part 2 prototype branch. So let me just give you that link in the chat because I think that's going to be valuable to you guys. There's the live chat. So part 2 prototype. Boom. So one thing to say is have a look at that because then you'll get the very latest gen from Sam about how he's doing things. Now, if you want your chat state to save between plays, do you? Or how much do you want to know about chats and conversations between plays? So if you start a conversation and you're midway through it and you quit the dialogue and then you quit the game, do you want that to be saved or just the fact that you finished a conversation? Or what's the saving granularity you're going for?
Look, mine's going to be a bit different, and I suppose that was one of my other questions, is that while this is going to be predominantly a single-player game, I am looking to introduce some limited group multiplayer content. And look, I might as well segue into that question. So certain aspects of the game are going to be, online multiplayer. At present, it's all set up as a single-player game. So is now the time to invest in getting the client server established, or can you retrofit it further along?
You can always retrofit. Our attitude is go for the thing of greatest uncertainty for you first. That's the eat the frog thing. So what are you looking forward to the next few things you're going to do? What are you most uncertain about right now? What are you most not sure about?
It's probably the inventory system. Looking at the inventory system, the quest system.
Do you mind if I sketch on your screen just to keep notes?
Yeah, hey, go for it. Yeah,
it's just going to be random notes just to keep track and so people can see what. I won't make it too bold. Okay, so keep going.
Yeah, so I've got using the quest system that you started implementing using the game objects. I've sort of expanded on that to the point where it's working, but I'm still not 100% convinced on storing each quest as an individual game object in the world.
No, neither am I. As you heard through the stream series, I'm not at all convinced by that. But it doesn't matter because most of the code would be similar if we change away from it. But
yeah, exactly. It just needs to be attached to something. So so I've now got quests to the point where I can have relationships between quests, as in one of my quests. Actually, and I know you're drawing on the screen.
Don't worry about that. Yeah, I can clear it off at any point.
So I've added a required quests. Where are we? A required quests serialized field to say that the gather the chilled mutton quest requires you to have completed kill the soldier and deliver the thing. And I was working on that last night, and that's now actually working. Whereby the gather the chilled mutton quest is locked, but upon completion of these 2 quests, it becomes available, and the quest giver will then issue it to you, and you can then do it. So, from that perspective,
are you? Sorry, go on, Rick. Sorry.
No. You go.
I'm trying to talk in more general terms as much as possible to maximise the benefit from the call. Hopefully that maximises the benefit from the call, so that there's more. That what I say has more repercussions than me just kind of going in and saying, well, you missed a semicolon. That only helps you for 2 seconds, where if we can talk in more general terms, it might give you enough to chew on between now and next week that it's a more valuable call. Yeah. But if I'm too high level, then let me know and I'll get into the more specifics if that makes sense.
No, I'm certainly looking at the high level at the moment.
Cool. All right. So one thing to think about in more general in your game then is you've got one of the big things. I don't know how many actual games you've done, but one of the big things people complain about when having to ship an actual game is the amount of sheer content you have to make, levels, repetition of similar stuff. Right? It's just a lot of that, and then there are features or functionality or whatever. So you are kind of here with features or something, and you want to be here with features, right?
Yes.
My question to you, though, is how much content have you got against these features? Are you like features with hardly any content, or are you features with quite a lot of content for the amount of features you've got? Are you more like at point A or point, well, let's do it around the other way for simplicity, point A or point B? So point A down here or point B?
Yeah, probably closer to a point A at the moment. I've been concentrating on getting the features, the basic features that I want in the game. With the minimum viable amount of content to test that those are working correctly.
Yeah, okay, so that is an approach. I just want to let you know that if you do that, so you've gone A, and then you're just going to keep adding a little bit of content, just enough to test the features, and then you're going to need to do this at the end.
Yes, ramp up significantly.
That's going to be a massive change of gear, and can be psychologically quite hard. It depends on you personally. But if you're a programmer type, the problem is that you will tend to gravitate towards this shallow early curve because you like making features. And your attitude is, I just want to put the minimum content in. And the problem is you can go from very, very happy here while you are shipping features like mad to very, very sad when you're shipping a lot of content. So that's a way of doing it. Another way, the kind of artist way, if you like, might be that they just go, oh, they're really confident. I'm really comfortable making content. And therefore, it's going to look like our Leaf logo in a minute. They're going to do that, and then they're going to have to start shipping features, in which case they're going to be really happy early on because they're making a lot of content, and then they're going to get, this is one-man bands, and they're going to get really sad when they realize they've got to spend, they've got to make a load more features. So normally, the advice would be to consider the middle ground a little bit. So if you're finding yourself wanting to gravitate towards just making tons and tons of content, features, then maybe you need to challenge yourself to go that way towards the line. And if you're content heavy, maybe you want to go this way a little bit.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. And yes, content is something that I'm more focused on the features at the moment.
And the content requirement won't go away. So I just don't want this to happen to you.
No, exactly. It just it just sits there in the background, and I need to bring it to the foreground. And as you
in the one day, so there's just
a one-man band, pretty much.
Yeah. And you can learn to love that content stuff, but you'll be amazed how much content that actually is to do. So if you are looking at the minimum time to shipping your game, then yes, I would consider switching gears a little bit into more content now, get back towards the purple line, because Sam will be hot on your heels with very nicely architected and very well explained feature sets coming in just a matter of weeks. I mean, if you follow that prototype branch I just linked you to, if you visit the weekly updates, and before you know where you are, we'll be shipping into a Udemy course. We'll be there with you, saving you a lot of time and doing a lot of the hard thinking on the features while still explaining why we've made the decisions and making you know how our courses feel. Hopefully you're feeling sufficiently in control of your project, but yet, we've done some of the hard work. So I would just consider that. So that you don't end up with this massively feature heavy thing that then suddenly you're like, oh, wow, there's no content, it's nowhere near a game. Because you can ship your game like here. Well, that's not the straightest line in the world. I think I'm going to go for a slightly straighter line. You can give a very early version of your game to people to play on Facebook or whatever. I can't get rid of that purple line, but you get the idea. Is you can ship what people might call a minimum viable product really, really early there.
Yep.
But not if you're completely content starved.
Yes. So I suppose getting back to what Sam is going to be delivering in terms of features and systems.
Yep.
Getting back to my point about there being some online elements to the game, how well is that going to translate across?
Sorry, what? I'm not sure what you mean. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm not sure what you mean, but How was what?
So the work that Sam's going to be doing on adding more features and systems to the RPG for your RPG that is purely a single player experience.
Yeah.
Um, you said about following along his development, and this is probably not a question you can answer, but how much of what he is doing could be implemented in a client server type game as opposed to just a pure client driven game?
I can't give you, if I was to give a percentage guess to the nearest 25, it'd probably be 75%, because Sam is naturally gonna be thinking about that stuff. He can't help himself. And he will be architecting it in such a way that that is considered but not coded. So it is, it's going to need work to change into a multiplayer game, clearly. And we're avoiding a multiplayer RPG because that's just one step off an MMORPG, which is the most complex possible type of game, which is a ridiculous thing to teach you guys at the moment.
Yes.
So yes, Sam. I mean, Sam's taught the Unreal multiplayer course, as you know. He knows about multiplayer. He's a web engineer. He will be thinking about that in the background, but he will not be making code that is directly compatible. But the way that Sam and I tend to like to architect things, I would like to, especially with the saving system, because you see the saving system that he's working on right now, that is starting to think about serialization, and that is a step towards thinking about networking as well. It's a similar type of skill set and consideration is networking and serialization and persistence of data and sending state. So that's kind of being addressed right now, if you like.
Yes, yeah, that's good. That answers my question. Further to multiplayer in Unity, just switching gears slightly. UNet is UNet a system that is mature enough to support an online multiplayer game for say up to 4 players? I'm not talking about massive in scale. I'm talking about 4 players playing together, or would you be using a different? Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's now Unity multiplayer services, right?
Okay, so it's changed its name again.
Yeah. So you want to look, it's now very much a service. What Unity are basically trying to do is they want you to subscribe. They don't charge a huge amount for their engine. It's quite a cheap engine, especially if it's a small development house. And they may make reasonable money when 2 or 3 people are paying $125 a month for Unity. But actually, the reality is that's not a lot of money really for them. So what they really want you to do is and that's why they're going to a service model, is that when during the development of your game, what they don't want you to do is become a single guy, pay them $125 a month at most, then become like 3 or 4 people towards the end of your development, maybe pay them like $500 a month, and then strip your team down and pay them nothing. What they want you to do is embed analytics. They want you to embed their multiplayer system. They want you to embed as many of these ongoing services as possible so that you're paying them forever. So that's kind of the model, and that's not a bad thing if the service that they're providing is really good and easy to use. So one of the easiest ways to get multiplayer going with Unity will be using, as part of the stack, Unity's multiplayer. And as Perceptual's saying, if Unity have got a partnership with Google now as well, so that's going to be interesting to watch that unfold. But it's referred to as multiplayer services, I think, still in Unity. So.
Right. Okay. Okay, well, I guess that answers that question. I know I'm jumping around a little bit here.
No, cool.
Now, I'm looking for my chat system to have, when a player says something in the chat, for it to pop up as a chat bubble above their head. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to work out the best way to do that, given that until such a time as they send the chat message, you don't know how long or short that chat message is going to be. So is there a way that you know of dynamically sizing a UI panel based off the size of text it's going to contain?
Yes. Now, I'm not sure right now what the state of play with Unity's UI. I'm going to have a look in Unity right now. But programmatically, for sure, you can look at the number of the amount of content you've got, and you can programmatically resize the panel. That's for sure. That's not too hard. you can make some assumptions about word length and number of lines and stuff like that. But that's not necessarily the enlightened way to do it. So you're talking about a piece of world space UI, and you want to know, like, to what extent can I resize this based on what it is? Let me have a look at where we are with that right now. So canvas, I'm just looking at something in Laser Defender, and you've got a piece of text like what I've got on my screen, this 99999 like this. And then what you're wanting to do is you're wanting, as the text size, as the text amount increases, you're wanting this to reflow. So if we just have a look, I'm not sure whether it's the C# text container. Might be, and I haven't used one of these recently. I mean, look, and obviously, hold on, we're looking at the old school system here. What I would also be doing is looking at Unity's TextMesh Pro. Are you using TextMesh Pro, or are you using the old system?
I'm using the old system. I haven't yet. I've got TextMesh Pro installed. I just haven't used it yet.
Yeah, I would look at TextMesh Pro. I would. And then I would start to look at, I don't know right off the top of my head because I haven't done this recently, but certainly look at TextMesh Pro before you start, so you don't use Unity's old system. See what's available in TextMesh Pro, do some Google searches, and then the last thing you should do is then say, well, I'm going to write my own code that resizes the element, which you can clearly do. You can clearly just come in and resize these elements programmatically, but I would do that as the last thing you're going to do. As a last port of call, and you just take an average word length or something like that and divide out as to how many lines it's going to be. So that would be my approach. I don't know the direct answer, but the approach would be: 1, get into TextMesh Pro because it's the superset, it's the newer thing. 2, Google for how to do it because people will have done that before. Number 3, write your own.
Okay.
Does that make sense as a plan rather than an answer?
Yes. No. That's a plan, and as I said last time, plans are better than answers because then it teaches you along the way.
Also allows me to be an ignorant fool, which helps. Or in other words, not have all the answers, but to have all the right questions for you to get to the answers.
Yes. Now, getting back to the multiplayer question, I backed the Kickstarter for the Unreal course, but I haven't done it yet. Okay. And I know that multiplayer is covered in that. Are the concepts covered in that course translatable? Are they generalist player concepts, or are they specific to Unreal?
Well, like all our courses, that I both. I mean, so you can't really learn a skill without doing a thing, right? So talk metaphorically just for a second. The concepts, the principles of balance apply to a bicycle or to handstands or to a unicycle, or you know what I mean, or a tightrope.
Yes.
But you can read about and study the principles of balance till the cows come home, and doesn't mean you can walk a tightrope. Or a slack line or something. And it's the same. So what we do in our courses is we're teaching you to do something, to tightrope, and then we're teaching you enough of the principles of balance that you can get that done. And then when we teach you something else, we teach you another aspect of the principles of balance, etc. So with multiplayer, Sam will absolutely he does in the Unreal multiplayer course, which let me just give you a link in the chat. I can never remember its 3-letter code. Udemy, and then it's UEM. Yeah, there you go, Unreal Multiplayer. In that course I've just linked in the chat, he absolutely gives you just-in-time theory that you need, which you could translate over to Unity. You're just going to have to work much harder to translate it across because the code we write is all Unreal.
Yes.
And we will do multiplayer, but I'm having a bit of a massive brainwave at the moment, which is that what I think is right for most of our community in terms of they all want mobile apps, mobile games, and they all want multiplayer. So a lot of people want multiplayer mobile. I'm looking hard into what's something called PWAs at the moment, progressive web apps, which is where you don't need to be messing around with having a Mac for iOS, or you don't need to be messing around with Android Studio. You basically make a web game. Now, it can only be stripped down games. It's not going to be good for your RPG, but it's great for the type of hyper-casual games that the slightly more beginners should be doing.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a direction. By the way, I should say at this point, if any of the other mentees or what do you think of the word proteges, Greg? Is that an all right word? I'm trying to work out what to call you guys. If you're not
I
tier
prefer
3
that to mentees actually. So yeah, proteges is a good word.
sounds posh, doesn't it?
Yes.
So yeah, proteges. I'm going to use a nice collective term for you guys who want some live help like this. So if any of you are the proteges, which sounds posh, want to join in on this chat, then let me give you the link again. I've got it somewhere around here. Here it is. I'll put it in the chat because Greg, you've done the sort of 20 odd minutes typical. But Greg, until the second person arrives, you can have as much time as you like. So where were we? We were saying multiplayer. So yes, you could take that course, but you would have to work hard. It'd be a bit like you know in a juggling convention, you trying to learn a slack line without any direct tuition on the slack line, but by watching somebody learning to ride a unicycle.
Yes.
So you know you'll get some of the general principles, or you'll get the idea of wobbling and resonance and stuff, but you're going to have to work harder. So which is good because when you've worked harder, you'll get really good skills. But the Gucci boys, that's what Pure Thrills says. And who is Pure Thrills? Are you a protege? Are you a Twitch tier 3 subscriber or a what do you call it? Patreon? Who are you? We are one of the things I want to do is build us a platform where we can actually know who you guys are. You know, as we get to know you better, we have a PWA, a progressive web app that where you can say like I'm this person on YouTube and this person on Discord, and we actually can kind of not follow you around in an insidious way like Google, but actually treat you like the individuals you are. Because I don't really know. Pure Thrills could be somebody I know really well, or I have no idea who they are. So it's tricky with all these different aliases. So Greg, let's take another question from you as you're here, ready to go.
I'm just going through my to-dos, just trying to see if consider persistence.
I really need to find the Unicode for a less scary smiley because their smileys are a bit weird. What's that one? Grin.
So the Quest journal, is that something that would potentially be a good candidate for using a list of somethings rather than just using I don't know what it is. It's just a transform Quest parent. I think it's got a text component on it at the moment.
So the way that we were doing the journaling at the moment is it's a game object in the world, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can, but then that list has still got to live on a game object. So you've got to persist a game object that has a list data structure on it. So sure, a list or a queue of quests, either of those data structures. Lists and queues are very similar. Obviously, lists are better when you're using them like a list, and a queue is better when you're using it like a queue. I think that quests, because you can take them and then complete them in different orders, a list would be the right data structure if you're gonna do it that way. What I'm saying is that the quest parent, or the journal game object with all its sub objects, is acting like a list in the game world. But yes, absolutely, a list of a list of quests is the right structure. There is an alternative structure there, yeah. And what will really dictate this is how we serialize this data to disk, which is exactly why Sam's de-risking that first. So he's looking into the saving system, and then that will put pressure on how do we store all this data, because for every piece of data we have, we need to think about what happens if the player pulls the plug right now, and what gets saved and what doesn't, and how do we save it, and what types of objects in Unity are serializable to the disk and which aren't.
Yes. Okay.
So keep a close eye on his prototype if you can follow it, and keep an eye on the RPG update streams, which we are doing weekly. I think we've got another one planned. I've been a little bit off the throttle on streaming as I switched from YouTube to Twitch to YouTube, but I'll see what we've got scheduled. Yeah, the next weekly RPG update is at midday our time. That's a pretty awful time for you. It's not too bad. It's not too late in the day. What's that? That's 9 p.m. your time on the 8th. The 21st, rather.
No, 5 a.m. on the 22nd, actually. Same time as it was. 5 a.m. on the 22nd.
That's when the next one is?
Yeah, the next quest, the next RPG update.
Have I gone the wrong way with the time conversion?
Yes.
You know what it is? On YouTube, it's showing me PST, that's why.
Yes.
YouTube's a bit annoying like that. Okay, it's correct if you click into it. It says how many days it is correctly, but its time is in PST. They think the whole world revolves around Cupertino, I think, which is
Probably
interesting.
does.
Yeah, they think it does anyway. Cool. All right, I'll take another question, and then I think we will assume that the next protege is not turning up today, and then we will throw it out to general questions, I think.
Yep.
So one more, Greg, and then we'll...
Yeah, so...
You can stay on the line after that.
For the kill quest, and I don't know if when you were developing this, you put this in or I chucked this one in. It's constantly checking whether or not the host of the kill quest is dead.
Yep.
Just waiting for the stream to catch up. Is that something we should just monitor in terms of performance? Is that something
exactly.
okay to do every update?
You need to... So the general principle with this performance stuff is use the performance profiler, and in the second part we'll be showing you a bit more about how to do that. It's relatively easy actually just to click into the profiler. Do you want to have a quick look at that now? Go into Unity, run the game. You can kind of start to answer that question now. So the kill.cs is the quest that you're trying, the script you're trying to know about. So you play the game, making sure there's a kill quest active.
Yes, there is. I'll just change it to
probably
the
is. You switch this to hierarchy, exactly. So you've already got, and then you need to look for that script name and see how many milliseconds it's taking.
Yeah.
So the top-down attitude to this is, and you could just pause or stop the game now. You've got a profile there, and then you could start to just search in the search box of the hierarchy down the bottom there for kill, for example. It might be the quickest way in this search box over here. And then kill.update, and then that's taking basically to the nearest hundredth of a millisecond, no time at all. So there you go, there's your answer. If there's a kill quest active, it's taking basically no time at all. Now the only disadvantage of this approach is that you could get death by 1,000 pinpricks. You could be constantly embedding a habit where you're taking up a tiny, tiny bit more time than you need to. But really it's pretty clear that that's not taking a lot of time. You can see that from there. The character update's taking a reasonable amount of time. But really, most of this at the moment is editor overhead, as you can see, by huge amount. Then rendering, which you would expect there to be some, and then it's script behavior, but they're very small. So your scripts are running very fast compared to everything else, is the bottom line.
0.31 for character update, and that's the ray casting.
Bunch of that's the ray casting.
I would expect that everything underneath character update would add up to 0.31. But it's currently adding up to, 0.22.
So if you expand these guys out,
yeah,
what do you get then? You probably find that it's hierarchical down through those 0.6.
Okay, maybe that's all adding up to...
Yeah, it should fold up though, shouldn't it, really? It is a little bit counterintuitive there. What might be happening is it may be not giving you everything here. It may be culling the list, and then you've got a long tail. So what you've got is you've got like this type of thing, and it's cutting off things that are below a certain amount of time, but there's actually quite a lot of area in the tail.
Yes.
If this is the time in milliseconds of the process, and then this is the rank of it, if you like. So then the slowest thing's got a high rank, and then but there's lots of little. So it could be again death by 1,000 pinpricks, but. So yeah, basically it seems weird, doesn't it, that you can just like ask update every single update, but a question like that, and it's not necessarily slowing it down that much. But when you actually test it, you find that it isn't, and that's because the system here is self-optimizing, and it is designed. No, it is an unpaid feature. Yeah, you can get to the profiler these days in unpaid. You just go to Window, I believe it's the Window menu, and then where is it from there, Greg?
Analysis and profiler.
Window Analysis Profiler.
Or Control 7 is the default shortcut key.
Or Control 7, if you're on a PC. Sorry, did I spit? I'm messing around. So no, it is built into the free version. Everything we teach is in the free versions of Unity because, well, why wouldn't we? Why would we want to teach something that you guys have to pay for? So, Greg, hopefully, do you want to take one more, or are you done for this one?
Oh, look, I'm probably done. I'd probably just be going over old ground. So again, thank you. And it looks like the next session is the same time next week. So
yeah, same time next week. So that'll be
That's all right.
easy-ish for you.
I will structure my weekends around a 5 a.m. start on Sundays.
Oh, wow. We're not going to do it every week. We'll keep moving these around a little bit and we'll find out who turns up, speak to you, physically speak to you guys and see what works. Also, it's got to work for us as well, because streaming is great, but it can be quite disruptive. Yeah, that'd be cool, Greg. Thank you very much for being here.
So, as I said, I've sent my username details for Discord and the forum through Twitch. Did you want me to just reply to or send you a message on the forum as well?
You can if you like that. All of that helps. I will get to it, though. It's not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
So there's no massive urgency.
Stay on the call, but I'll stop the share and mute myself.
That's fine, and if you want to dive in with voice, you can. So, all right, thanks, Greg. That's great. If you stop your screen share, and then can we hide non-video participants? Hide self-view? No, how does this work? Gallery view, there you go. Wow. I've just dropped a load of water down my front, if you're wondering what's going on there. How can you drop water down your front with one of these things? This is a bottle with a sealed lid, and I still managed to throw it down my front. Anyway, there you go. Good fun. So any other general questions, guys, before we end the stream? The stream's going to end by 9 o'clock, so within the next 15 minutes. What do you got for me? How's the stream been? How's the quality been? Has it been buffering? If you need no, it's not spammy. That's fine. I think, Greg, somebody's offering to do 3D modeling for you. Maybe that's what a vert pusher means. No, look, you should offer to help each other. Everybody's like, oh, it's my project, but really, it's worth making the effort to get some collaborations together. Get speaking physically, like on Zoom or Skype or something, to each other quickly. If you get on with somebody else, you can make a wonderful partnership, because a load of people just want to wake up in the morning and do 3D modeling and make that. And some people like doing both. And the people who like just doing one really got to hook up with the people who like doing the other. And they can really work together. And it's better to have 50% of a big pie than 100% of a very small pie. And if your game is ugly as sin, unless it's designed to be ugly as sin and it's consciously hyper casual and really playing to your strengths, which is another great idea, by the way, is that you say, well, I'm no good at art, let's not make a game that relies on art, or I'm no good at programming, let's not make a game that relies on programming. You either do that, or if you've got a bigger ambition like an RPG, it's got to have a certain art standard. You really want to think about teaming up with somebody else. So it'd be nice if there was more than a few. We answer questions and we make other people feel safe trying to answer questions, even if they don't feel like they know enough to do that. And ask questions. That's the other thing you can do to invite other people, is to maybe not give them answers. So maybe those other people are intimidated by the fact that there's some experts there that come in and just give an answer. Maybe do a little bit more of what I did on this stream, which is, well, sometimes I know the answer and I don't want to give it because I want to give more of a question-based response, which is more valuable. And sometimes I don't know the answer, like with that text thing, in which case I still use a question-based response. So maybe go to all of this, go to the forum a little bit, leave Zoom altogether. And I am going to bring up this little window like that, and then just slightly reorganize my screen. And then this should work a lot better. Reason being is that there's less compression needed for just a small amount of face. It's the face in this stream that kills has a big bandwidth requirement because it's not very compressible. So hopefully that has sorted it out with that big white on there. Yeah, so that's it really. Any other questions or queries before we dive off and then get ready for the next one? Yeah, thank you. That's true. What's happening, as I say, it's the bit rate, and what I'll do in future is, well, there's lots of things I can do in future. I can start using standard streaming system like OBS, for example, but that's going to push all the effort over onto my CPU, and I don't have a massive CPU at the moment, so I'll get there. But I'm aware of the issues now, so we're getting to the point where we actually kind of understand streaming, which is nice. My watch is telling me to stand up, so I will be standing up within 10 minutes. But yeah, this dropped the bit rate down a lot. So good to have you here, everybody. Thank you for being with us. What I'm going to do is start looking at winding the stream down. Now, I've got various things I like to do at the end of the stream, like I'm just going to bring up my little checklist. But one of the things I like to do at the end of the stream is to tell you when the next streams are. So the way that the event schedule works on YouTube is that the events come onto our homepage of YouTube 1 week before they actually happen, right? So that's how That's how you know what's coming up. So the next thing is going to be Sam's RPG update. Beware that these times, certainly for me, show in PST, Pacific Standard Time, but you can click to set a reminder, which is helpful. You can also look at this and it'll tell you, it'll kind of calculate how long from now until the thing. So the event system actually works pretty well, and it works on mobile, which is nice. The next stream in this series is Meet the Mentors 9. It's exactly the same time next week, so that's very easy. If you want to be part of it, the best way right now is to go to Patreon and go to our Patreon site and then back us at $25 a month, $24.99. There's no requirement to stay on that level more than a month, but if you're enjoying it, please do. And this will give you a ticket to each live one-to-one project review, which gives you a chance of being the one who gets reviewed. At the moment, we're quite quiet, good time to join, because you're very likely to get reviewed and one-to-one attention. You're supporting us at the higher level, and you automatically should be part of a Discord chat room. In fact, Greg, I'll be interested to hear from you in the chat. Can you now get into the Protégés Discord chat room? You should, I think, be able to, although it may have just broken it by changing the name of the chat room from Mentees to Protégés, in which case speak to Irresistible Jelly over on the forum, and he will fix it back up again. So that's how you become a Tier 3 mentee. Remember to subscribe on YouTube while we... it's not really an ego thing, it's a business decision thing, right? If we are going to continue to invest in live streaming, which we like doing, obviously these Meet the Mentors are an easy decision because people pay us for them. But if we continue to see, as they are wonderfully doing, our subscriber numbers going up, that really helps us, gets us towards monetization eventually at 100,000, and just is motivating, you know, it's progress. So please subscribe. That does actually mainly psychologically help and increase the chances that we will stream new things. Like we didn't stream Godot this week. You know, it's difficult because, you know, there's no good getting into an attitude where, you know, you're saying to a fire, give me some heat and then I'll put some wood on you. You obviously need to make the effort in order to get the results. On the other hand, it's very motivating to continue to get some sort of show of progress, as we were on Twitch. Twitch was growing nicely, although it was S-curving. But we realized, wow, it's not searchable, the events don't work on mobile, there's no kind of auto-transcript in the same way, you know, nobody's looking for this stuff on Twitch, so this is why we're trying YouTube. So please do subscribe, and thanks for being here, basically. That is that. Liz, I will answer your question. I know lots of people keep asking. We may do more on Twitch, but at the moment we think that YouTube is a better platform for this, because we have the option to use DVR, so on some streams we'll increase the lag, but allow you to have DVR functionality, which allows you to pause or rewind the stream live. It has better searchability if you go into even this event, actually, maybe. So please do subscribe. No, you don't have a transcript yet. That's a little bit too early. But if you take any previous stream, like Sam's stream here, and you click this ... you can open the transcript. And this is a machine-generated transcript that you can then go and search for something like Node. And at 12 minutes and 3 seconds is the first time Sam mentions Node. That's how hard and how easy it is to find things on YouTube. And also the videos are kept forever. So this is why we are using YouTube at the moment. I hope that makes sense as a case. It's not as good for us. There's no monetization model on it at all at the moment. But it's just a better place for the videos. And all of the previous streams that we did on Twitch are all here. They've gone into their relevant place. So the Unity streams went into Unity, the Godot streams went into Godot, the RPG into here. So fairly obvious how the playlists work. I'll continue to tidy up and improve the playlist, but every single major Twitch stream we did that worked well without technical issues is in here in YouTube now. And it's an experiment with YouTube. We still reserve the right to go back to Twitch. Really the only proper opportunity on Twitch that I see at the moment would be to find an instructor who wants to teach Unreal Blueprint, which is a serious way of making Unreal games. I actually recommend it over C++ these days, and to have somebody doing that and trying to tie in with Fortnite, and then paying somebody like Ninja to come in and raid our stream. So we'd have a stream series maybe on Blueprint in Unreal, building a game like Fortnite in Unreal Live, and then Ninja and others come in, raid that stream, and that's a way we could make Twitch grow. But otherwise, for this type of technical content, I think YouTube's a better platform, unless you guys disagree. Muzi, you don't have permission to send messages in this channel. That's a bit weird. Start a poll on Twitter to ask the community what their nickname should be. What their nickname should be. I'd vote for Gucci Boys. Oh, okay, you're still pushing on the Gucci Boys. So you're talking about the Tier 3 or Mentees or Protégés. Yeah, Gucci Boys maybe. I think that's funny. I'm not sure that everybody would get the cultural reference though. Yeah, so YouTube ads are a pain, Liz. We've turned ads off though. You shouldn't get ads on our channel. So Tell me if you see an ad on our channel. I have removed monetization on our channel by saying I don't want ads. I don't want my students like you to have ads. So you shouldn't see ads on our videos on YouTube. But let me know if you do. And also there is now the YouTube Premium model, which you can trial this for 3 months for free. And it's pretty cool. It gives you some half-assed premium only content. But what it does too, the other two things it does is it takes ads away completely everywhere on YouTube, which is awesome. And it allows you to background play YouTube on mobile devices. So you can kind of minimize the video, even leave the app and still hear the audio. So I'm enjoying, I'm about a month and a half into YouTube Premium and I'm going to subscribe. But you shouldn't see ads on our channel. And if you do, let me know because we've turned them off. Hope that answers your question. Dambio, yeah, no, Premium is in the UK, Kimber, definitely. I am in the UK. If I switch to my Ben Tristram account, which you're welcome to subscribe to as well, by the way, guys, if you feel like it. I don't really know what the channel name is, but you could. I don't really do much on there, but you can find me. Just type Ben Tristram. Here I am. I'm on the side here. If you want to subscribe to that, you're welcome. I'm going to start doing more and more kind of daft and tangential stuff. But yes, there is Premium, and I am on it. I don't know how I know I'm on it, but I'm definitely on it. And you can do it in the UK, is the bottom line. Okay. Oh, I can't post links as myself. I have to switch back to GameDev. So yes, you can do it in the UK. I'm in the UK. And where in the UK are you, Liz? Out of interest, I'm in Cambridge. I never see ads, but I miss hearing how coding games is easier than I think. Yeah, that's probably the main ad you probably see on YouTube is for our Unity course, right? For our 2D Unity course. They push that like crazy. Yeah, so now Premium is available in the UK, so that's cool. And it is good. All right, thank you very much, guys. I'm going to end on the hour. I've got to go help my wife pack. Cool, Gloucestershire. We're coming down that way, actually. Tomorrow we're going from Cambridge down to, some of us in the family are going from Cambridge all the way down to Cornwall. So we'll be going near Gloucestershire. So cool, enjoy Gloucestershire. All right, thanks for being here, people. I'll see you on the next streams. There's a handful lined up. We will be doing some more of the other fun stuff we were doing on Twitch, by the way. We will start doing some more gaming. We haven't given up on gaming streams. We just want to be able to do everything casually so that we don't feel kind of tied to it. And we will be doing another Godot stream. We didn't do it tonight because Jan was really tired. And we will be doing other stuff as well. So keep an eye out. And thanks very much for everything. I am now focused on progressive web apps while the rest of the team focus on keeping the portfolio of game courses up to date and keep the new courses coming out for you guys. I'm off saying I'm going to take a slightly tangential view and say, let's work out how to make apps websites that behave like apps on the mobile. So now you can develop apps without iOS, Xcode, Android Studio, paying people 30% Apple and Google. So that's pretty cool. And it's just the right time to get into that stuff. So HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and well, that's it. Just those three we're going to be teaching you. HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And you'll hear all about that. There'll be a Kickstarter. It's going to be huge. It's how to develop websites and apps all in one technology called Progressive Web Apps. Check them out. Check out mobile.twitch.com? No, twitter.com, for example. Check that out on your phone. And if you're on an iOS, you do it in Safari and add it to your home screen. There's an option to add to home screen. If you're on Android, then it'll probably pop up and ask to add to the home screen. Once it's on the home screen, try opening that app and take a look at it. Behold, the web app that is faster than the native app, looks just like the native app, works offline, and is a single code base for them to maintain. It's mind-boggling. So awesome. That's what I'm up to. I'm pretty excited about it, and we're going to do games in that as well. Not going to be the first project. The first project's going to be like this type of thing. It's going to be probably a momentum-y type thing. This kind of like, you know, what's the time of day and what have you got on next? And then we'll do something like a to-do app, and then we'll be doing a game. Imagine this. Imagine you're playing a game at a bus stop, and somebody next to you wants to join in, and you just say, hey, click pause, click play with somebody else. A QR code comes up on your phone. They scan your QR. They go to the same website, or just scan the QR code, and they're in the game with you straight away, streaming the game from the web. That's hyper-casual, super instant, mega gaming. That sounded a bit salesy. All right, anyway, see you guys before I get any more crazy salesy. Have a nice weekend, and I'll see you next week.